Hello class, welcome to lesson 2 in module 4, where we're going to be talking about the relationships of multiplication and division. It's a pretty long set of notes, so we're going to split it up into a bunch of different chunks. Here is the first, probably 1/4 of the page. Pause it there. I'll go ahead and slide it down and give you the next set. Probably start it from there. Alrighty, and the final chunk of the page, looks like it's going to be in thirds, is this. Oh, you can't see the 0, can you? How about that? Okay, let's take a look at lesson 2. Relationships of multiplication and division. The question we seek to answer by the end of this lesson is, what does addition and subtraction have to do with multiplication and division? All right, so today's lesson we're going to look at the relationship between multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. The answer is, think of multiplication as repeated addition, and think of division as repeated subtraction. Now, that might not make much sense until we start practicing it, but I think once we start practicing it, you'll catch on pretty quickly. So let's take a look here at the multiplication chunk. When you are given a multiplication problem, the task you need to perform is to choose one of the factors, and remember, a factor is just something that you're multiplying, so you'll choose one of the numbers to be the value that you add, and the other factor, or the other number you're multiplying, is how many times you add it. So for example, if our problem is 5 times 4, we're going to choose this 5 to be the number that we add, and the 4 will be the amount of times we add it to itself. Okay? And if we wanted to rewrite this as repeated addition, because that's what the question is asking us, it says to write 5 times 4 written as repeated addition. You take your 5, which is the number you add together, and you add it 4 times, because 4 is your other factor. So you're adding 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, and if you notice, you're adding it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay? So 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is in fact the same thing as 5 times 4. You notice both of the answers are 20. Okay? Simple enough. And when we look at division, it's very similar except backwards. Hopefully you're aware that multiplication and division are inverse operations, just like addition and subtraction were from the previous lesson. So multiplication and division cancel each other out. They're opposites, which means we do the opposite here. Task 2, if you have a division problem, you're going to identify how many times the divisor can be subtracted from the dividend to reach 0. Now real fast, we probably need a little vocabulary check here, because we might not remember what the divisor and the dividend are. Okay, so let's take 12 divided by 3. Now I'll tell you right now that the big number, the first big number, is the dividend, and the second number, in this case, is the divisor. And here's the way that I discovered how to do that, or how to remember that. If you're to write this this problem of 12 divided by 3 with a box, or some people like to call it a house, it would look kind of like this. It would be 12 inside the house and 3 outside the house. Now, using this house analogy, if this is the house, the 12 is inside the house. And I remember that as dividend because it's inside. And if this were a house and the 3 was outside, so here's our 3, he's knocking, he wants to come inside, he would be standing at the door of the house. The door is right there, and I think of this as the divisor. So the divisor's at the door, the dividend is inside the house. Okay, so the 3 is the divisor is the small number in most cases, and the dividend is the big number in most cases. So let's go back to our notes and see if we can't understand repeated subtraction. So with this division problem, we identify how many times the divisor, which is usually the small number, can be subtracted from the dividend to reach 0. So for example here is 24 divided by 6. 24, the big number is the dividend, the small number is the divisor, the 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our dividend and subtract it by our divisor over and over until we reach 0. Okay, and that's pretty simple. We've done that down below. You see 24 minus 6 is 18, minus 6 again is 12, minus 6 again is 6, minus 6 again is 0. And you notice that you have 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we can write that over here to the side. 24 minus 6, minus 6, minus 6, minus 6 equals 0. So there are 4 6's. So you know that 24 divided by 6 equals 4. All right, hopefully that will get us started for our lesson in class. But hopefully now you can answer this question. What does addition and subtraction have to do with multiplication and division? Thank you very much. Goodbye.